Hi, Living It Out team. I'm so excited to work with you guys this week for Awaken Physical. So here we are, continuing through our well-being series, and it has been really, really good. I hope that you are enjoying it. We're getting a lot of positive feedback about it, so I would love to hear what you're enjoying about it. And as we look at the outline for this week, what I want to do is cover just a few overall thoughts about just writing and just some reminders, and then we'll jump into the outline. First, what I want you to think about with the intros is that I've given you a lot of resources for this time. All of it's so good it was hard for me to decide what you would need and what you wouldn't need. So there should be, on most days, in fact I think all of the days have page numbers associated. That's the PDF that's attached. You can hit view and rotate it so that you can actually read it on your screen, and to just go to those pages to help build your introduction. Because this is physical, this is a really neat and different topic for us. This is not a place that we've gone, particularly in the Living It Out and even from main stage. So I'm excited at the principles that we're going to talk about for this week. They are really straightforward too. So it's really about thinking about how we know these principles, but why are we not doing them? And so you'll notice in the sermon notes, I've included there so that you can see at least where the ideas are going. And even if some of the wording changes, it's okay. You can put some of those things into your own words as you see how they affect each of your days. When I'm writing, a lot of times I'll come back to those sermon notes to see how things fit together, and that can be a good way to make sure that I'm not veering off too far one way or the other. You'll notice that some of the days, actually for you guys, it looks like we don't have big, long passages of scripture. So your intros easily need to be 250 to 300 words. And I have not provided a hook necessarily for each day. If something came across as I was doing research, then I included it. But if not, you have the option. So I want to take a step away from giving you as much as I was when we went to this shortened format. At first I know it was helpful, but now I want you to be creative and kind of step into this space. So you'll notice that Monday I am going to go ahead and take, and then so that leaves Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And Tuesday is really about the principles around eating. Tom Rath has these three places and sort of footholders for physical well-being: eat, sleep, move. And you'll notice as you're reading through his research and the things that he talks about that those three things are connected and they have short-term and long-term impacts. When it comes down to the scripture pieces, we're coming into Ecclesiastes 3 where there's a time for everything. So when you think about eating and sleeping and movement, those are all related to time, how we use our time, in the ways that we're prepared to be able to enjoy the time that we're given. And so that's where those tie-ins come into play. I hope you'll see that through the days. And so on Tuesday, again, it's really about food choices, and none of this comes from a guilt place. I just want to make sure that we keep that in the forefront of our minds. You don't have to write it every day. I'll address it on Monday, but Friday might want to hit it again because we will have been in the content for a while then. And sometimes, I don't know how you are, but how I get is when I start going through this, I think, oh, why can't I do this better? And I know this, but as you'll see from both, scripture is really embracing that there is a time to feast, and we can ask ourselves that question, is it the right time? But then that there's also times when we aren't to feast, and or in terms of movement, that the goal is to keep moving throughout the day. So these are super practical things that will increase our well-being, but also really, again, speak to the use of time, just like Ecclesiastes 3 does. So Tuesday is about food. Wednesday is about movement and motion. I love the phrase that sitting is like the new smoking. Ooh. Think about that for a while. And so that is the The goal on Wednesday is to really talk about both moving physically and spiritually. So you'll see there's lots of resources there for you, and there's a specific practice to cover. This is a wrath piece where he really recommends working for 45 and then breaking for 15 and getting up and walking around and having a chance to really keep moving throughout the day. And it would be neat for us to be able to make that connection to social, that sometimes having a friend to walk with or get moving with is just as important, and that it's important then for us all to be moving spiritually as well. So there's a time for everything. Thursday is about sleep, and you'll notice I titled it "So Tired, Must Sleep." And yet this is sometimes a commodity that we set aside. We think we don't need it, we'll catch up on it later, and we sacrifice it. So this is where we can draw in some of the pieces of God's design around time, that there was a time for us to rest, there is a time for us to feast, again, those pieces. And then Friday is about the enjoyment. The last part of Ecclesiastes 3 says, "Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart." So many of these longings, these things that we think are going to fill our time and space, sometimes we do feel timeless, and we have to really be careful that our short-term decisions don't end up with these long-term consequences, because we have eternity in our heart. And while we know that there's an end, I think it's, maybe when things are going well, it's hard to imagine that that's going to be us. And so rhythm on Friday, enjoying life, that this point here, time creates a rhythm to enjoy life, and setting your rhythm with God's plan is what really increases or decreases enjoyment. This is not about sitting down and having a big feast and drinking everything that we want, but it's about the enjoyment that He has designed for us, and that within all these times that Ecclesiastes talks about, that there is actually enjoyment in all of it. So those are just some really big ideas as you come into the Living It Out for this week. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. If for some reason you see some page numbers that aren't here, please let me know. I think I captured all of them, but don't hesitate to let me know if you need something. I will be around tonight. Like I said, I'll be writing Monday, and hopefully this has been helpful to you. So have fun, drill into some of this, and just think about our readers and what they need to hear from us, and it will be our best for His glory. So can't wait to see what you do.